What's up, guys? I know it's been a while. I haven't uploaded in like over a year, it feels like. Well, no, actually, I did do that Donda review. But yeah, I'm back, and I'm here to talk about my favorite albums of the year. Just keep in mind, these are my picks, so if you don't agree with them, make your own list, I guess. And also, I love all these albums about equally, so don't take my rankings too seriously. Anyway, nonetheless, let's get into this list. So I may be biased because this definitely isn't the best record or most groundbreaking record that I've heard by King Gizzard, but they are my favorite band, so are you really surprised that this is on here? This record was a delight, honestly. I really enjoyed most of the songs on here. We get great desert rock tracks in the form of Plura, Static Electricity, East West Link, and See Me, but we also get more electronic and funk-leaning tracks. The lead single, If Not Now Then When, was an awesome fresh new type of track for the band and is one of my favorite Gizzard tracks at this point. And the track 1 is its perfect companion piece, giving me vibes of a night out partying gone crazy. But the crowning achievement on this record for me is KGLW, a brooding and heavy track, seeing the band going back to their heavy metal sound that they explored a few records ago. The only thing that holds the record back for me really is that it is in fact another microtonal King Gizzard album. I truly love the microtonal stuff by King Gizzard, but I was kinda missing the sensation of surprise with this, because most of their records all have a completely different style. Overall, it's another very enjoyable batch of songs by the band, and after releasing their second album of the year, Butterfly 3000, I am very excited to see where they go next in their ever-growing discography. If you would have told me 2 years ago that the guy who made Old Town Road of all people would end up releasing an album that would land on my top 10 albums of the year list, I would have probably laughed at you. But then again, the world keeps finding new ways to surprise us, so here we are. Call me when you want, call me when you need, call me in the morning, I'll be on the way. When the lead single Monroe Call Me By Your Name was released, I was rather surprised. It was very different than his previous music because it was actually good. The song has these awesome flamenco guitars while also featuring instantly memorable lines such as I wanna sell what you're buying, I wanna feel on your ass in Hawaii. I wasn't necessarily sold yet, but when I heard Industry Baby, I was fully on board and excited to hear his new record. And then the record came out, and I gotta say, this for me is truly the ultimate reminder not to judge a book by its cover. This album bangs. It's got great hooks, great instrumentals, and some really honest and good songwriting. The song That's What I Want makes me want to roll down my windows on a sunny day, put my shades up and drive. Industry Baby makes me want to backflip through a brick wall every time I hear it. And Montero makes me question my sexuality, kinda like the movie. There are also great deep cuts such as Dead Right Now, One of Me, Scoop, and Life After Salem. The song $sign Slime is kind of a bad apple in the track list because I fucking hate Megan Thee Stallion, but I can look past that. Overall, I'm truly impressed and I can't wait for the next record. That's what I fucking want! So last summer there was this comedy special that released on Netflix, no big deal. It's called Bo Burnham's Inside and it's fucking awesome. Just FYI, this will be a huge spoiler for my best films of 2021 list, but this is my favorite movie of the year. I haven't had such a visceral reaction to a piece of media in a long time. This is truly a film that everyone should watch because of how relatable it is. I'm convinced that mostly everyone can identify with this special somewhat, but we are not here to talk about the film Inside. That will be done in another video. We are here to talk about the music from Inside, and oh boy, the music is incredible. Not only because Bo Burnham's humor is straight up my alley, but also because they're just straight up catchy and good songs. Plus, there's such a different variety of songs too. You get truly hilarious songs about everyday internet usage like White Woman's Instagram, FaceTime with my mom, and sexting. You also get funny songs with super dark undertones like How the World Works, Bezos 1 and 2, and shit. However, this doesn't mean that every single track on this record is funny. Oh, no. This shit can get really depressing really fast. That Funny Feeling is an extremely dour track talking about the fears of modern life. Welcome to the Internet is a terrifying and depressing track depicting the concerning overload of content that we consume. And All Eyes on Me and Goodbye are very strong personal songs, giving us a lot of insight into Bo as a person and his struggles with mental illness and the pandemic as a whole. Truly a masterpiece, and I really have no complaints with it. But you may be wondering, why is this so low on your list then? Well, as much as I think this music is great, I don't know if it would be as great on its own without the special. Don't get me wrong, the songs are still really good songs like I said, but it's kind of a visual album. I think hearing this without watching the special just wouldn't work as well for me. If it weren't for that, I think this would easily make it in my top 3 albums of the year, but nonetheless, yeah, it doesn't really stand on its own, but still, there was no way this wasn't going to be featured on this list. Truly amazing. Okay, I'm sure if you're a classic rock type of guy, you have heard of Greta Van Fleet at this point. This band really grew in popularity in 2017 with their single Highway Tune, which was met with mixed opinions. Some people loved it, and some people thought they were just copying other bands that had come before them. I personally have always enjoyed their music. I think From the Fires and Anthem of the Peaceful Army are pretty solid albums that I enjoy listening to. I don't think that they are high art, but as modern classic rock albums, they aren't too bad. I do believe that they lean on their influences such as Led Zeppelin a little too much, but since they were just starting out, I would look past it. But I did always say that doing another record like those two was not gonna cut it. They need to push their sound more for the next album and come into their own, I said. I think they did it. The Battle at Garden's Gate is everything I wanted this new record to be, so much so that it makes me want to never listen to those older records ever again. The title of the record really fits, because for parts of it, I feel like I'm standing on a destroyed and desolate battlefield. Greta Van Fleet took the type of songs they wrote for Anthem of the Peaceful Army and made them more progressive and industrial. Age of Machine is the best example of this. It really takes its time, and when that fucking chorus hits, I still get goosebumps. Speaking of that, this album is epic as fuck. Jesus Christ, songs like the formerly mentioned Age of Machine, Broken Bells, Stardust Chords, and The Barbarians are almost too epic for their own good. Light My Love and Heat Above also make me feel like I'm transcending into heaven or something. And The Way to Dreams is a truly amazing closer for the record. For those who prefer the band's more classic sound, there are some songs that still capture that classic Led Zeppelin feel, such as Built by Nations and My Way Soon. Although the latter kind of feels like the band is writing themselves into a corner, but it's still a decent track. There aren't many negatives about this record, but I do think that although I can tell the band has really put in a lot of effort to change their sound, I still think that the Led Zeppelin comparisons are still here, but at this point that's just something you're gonna have to accept if you want to like this band. Josh Kisga just sounds like Robert Plant. There is no denying that, nor do I think this is going to change. Although I think certain vocal passages of his kind of ruin certain instrumental parts, like it's not a cardinal sin to let the instrumental play. It feels like Josh just gets bored and feels like he needs to do something, or I don't know why he does that, and I think I could do without it. But honestly, bands like Greta Van Fleet don't come along often these days, so I really just want to be grateful that we are still getting music like this, and that it is mildly successful. And as a person who came into the game listening to classic rock, that is a very nice thing to see. Olivia Rodrigo. Who doesn't know her at this point? I gotta be honest, I didn't know about her until early June, which was way after Driver's License took over the charts in January. And I don't really know how I missed it. But I discovered her after watching a video essay about Paramore, and her song Good For You showed up in that video, and I don't know, I thought it sounded pretty fabulous, so I went to listen to it, and instantly I was hooked. So yeah, I basically discovered her on my own, without hearing her songs on the radio or TikTok extensively like most people. So I don't really have that disdain for her music like certain people do. I know that certain individuals think that she's an industry plant and whatever, And sure, she definitely had an easy breakthrough into the music industry, but honestly, that doesn't make her any less talented. As a fellow musician, I am still so in awe of this girl. The amount of remorse and maturity this girl has about relationships is off the charts. You want to hear the songs I wrote when I was 18?
You're a really stupid girl, now you can die.
Her pen game is also crazy. Her lyrics aren't really shrouded in ambiguity. She doesn't beat around the bush, she speaks from her heart, and that's what makes it connect with so many people, I think. Songs like One Step Forward, Three Steps Back, and Enough For You cut deep. But she is also really good at writing really strong pop bangers. Good For You, as mentioned earlier, is amazing. This song is such a fuck you and I love it. People love to complain that this song borrows a lot from the track Misery Business by Paramore, to which I say, yeah, that's why it's great. Deja Vu is a very creative breakup song, Jealousy Jealousy has this awesome fuck you attitude, and Brutal is teenage angst at its finest. The more piano-led tracks like Driver's License and Traitor are also great, although I do think I prefer the live version of Driver's License more because I think the bridge just hits way harder in the live version. Kinda like with the earlier mentioned Greta Van Fleet, I do think Olivia still leans a little too hard on her influences, such as Taylor Swift and Lorde. For her first record it's fine, but I think if she doesn't change it up next time around, her shtick is gonna get really old really quick. Even on this record, certain lines in some songs feel kinda redundant. Like, we know he started to date someone new 2 weeks after you broke up. I swear to God she says that at least 4 times on this record. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed this record, and I'm certain that whatever Olivia does next will not disappoint.
For you, I guess you moved on really easily.
All my favorite songs are slow and sad.
Getting a good Weezer album is truly a gamble these days. At this point, they don't give a fuck anymore. They make what they want to make and no one is gonna tell them otherwise. As a huge Weezer fan, this has its pros and cons. In one way, I want them to just express themselves the way they want to, but at the same time, most of the times when they do that, it's not great. Up until 2021, Weezer had released 13 studio albums, and out of all of those, I only think that 4 of them are truly great albums all the way through. So as a Weezer fan, you mostly end up getting disappointed. This doesn't mean that there aren't great songs on those other records though. Even Ratitude has some good songs on it, but they mostly get ruined by other songs. I really love Half of the Red album, for example, but the bad songs on that record are so bad that it makes the record leave a pretty disappointing taste in my mouth. So every time a new Weezer record comes out, the first question always is it good? And my answer to that is yeah, it's great. This is top tier Weezer. This was a pretty great year for Weezer since they also released their long-awaited Van Weezer in 2021. And while that record is great as well, I will always choose this record over it. OK Human is such an experience. From front to back, it is fabulous. For those who are unaware, this record was composed only using acoustic instruments, which makes it very different from their previous albums, since Weezer is known for their electric guitar sound. I think this idea was so brilliant because it makes the record feel so much more cinematic and intimate. It's definitely a gimmick, but it also fits the narrative of the record very well, since, like Bo Burnham's Inside, this record is about the overconsumption of media and quarantine. Rivers' songwriting is on point on this record. Songs like Numbers, Bird with a Broken Wing, and Mirror Image are amongst some of the best songs Rivers has ever written. All my favorite songs was the lead single for this record, and I think the fact that this is my most streamed song from 2021 speaks for itself. This song is a work of art. The chorus is instantly catchy and kinda served as my own personal theme song for a while. Alu Gobi, Grapes of Wrath, and Playing My Piano are awesome as hell. They are so quirky to the point that I don't think anyone else could write them except Rivers. The production is also fantastic. I believe they worked with the same guy again who produced the White Album, which is one of my favorite Weezer albums, and I think after this record also being as good as it is, I think Weezer should strongly consider recording more records with this guy. Truly another great Weezer album to add to the collection. Now, if you would excuse me, I have to get back to my daily prayers to God that they don't fuck up their sound again with Seasons in 2021. After numerous delays, numerous controversies, and numerous listening parties, Kanye West's highly anticipated album Donda was released in the end of August of 2021, and I think this is one of his best albums of his entire career. I know that we all love his classics, and I truly love those as well, but this record feels special. It's so anthemic in the way that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy feels anthemic. This record is so grand in its presentation, and I think it's some of the most insightful material that Kanye has released in a long time. I know that people are still annoyed about how religious his music has become, but honestly, I personally don't think that Kanye being religious is news really. Like, the fact that Jesus Walks is a huge hit from his debut album College Dropout makes me wonder why people are so taken about that he is in fact religious. And if he is religious, so what? If that's the music he wants to make, then let him. I'm an atheist myself, and I enjoy his new album, so I don't think that his albums are necessarily preachy or alienating. Anyways, enough about the religious stuff, let's discuss the album. The exploration of Kanye's faith and his urge to be reconnected with his deceased mother is truly admirable. I think Kanye does stupid shit all the time, and I'm not here to justify it, but I think this record shows a very vulnerable Kanye, and that is not a Kanye we get to see a lot of these days. There is something about hearing Kanye's verse on Hurricane that makes you feel like he's on a path to redemption. Songs like 24, Donda, Jesus Lord, and Come to Life are such powerful moments. Moon is one of the most beautiful tracks Kanye has ever made. Hearing Kanye, Don Toliver, and Kid Cudi singing that chorus makes me quite literally float to the moon. Jail is as anthemic as it gets, while also featuring a wonderful verse by Jay-Z. Off the Grid, Believe What I Say, Okay Okay, and Heaven and Hell are some of the hardest bangers Kanye has made in years. And songs like Hurricane and Keep My Spirit Alive will go down as some of my favorite Kanye songs ever. I truly loved Donda, but I do recognize that this record has baggage that holds it back. The part 2s are unnecessary, and make the album more bloated, but honestly, to me the part 2s always felt like bonus tracks, so I don't really count them as part of the track list. Certain features on the record are also questionable to say the least. I honestly understand what Kanye was trying to do by featuring Chris Brown, DaBaby, and Marilyn Manson, but in context of the record, it doesn't feel like it really supports the narrative that much. And it's also straight up not ethical to put them in the spotlight like that. I also think Kanye cutting out his own swears is a bit weird. No one is making him swear, and just bleeping the swears out makes it feel very awkward. So yeah, I'm aware that this album has flaws, and it's not going to be an album that everyone enjoys, but honestly, I don't care. I think that the great parts of this record really outshine the bad parts, and it has been in my daily rotations for months. So yeah, I think that this is Ye's best work in years.
1, 2, 3, 4. Who y'all came to see tonight? Who gon' get the ladies feeling something? Ooh, we gon' lock this grooving tight. Yeah, we'll lock it in there.
So Sex with a Hat On decided to team up with the best teeth in the game to make a record. And I mean, come on, if you were expecting me not to put this on my top 10 list, you must have been out of your mind. This is something I didn't know that I wanted, and now that I have it, I couldn't imagine a world without this record. I wasn't necessarily a huge Bruno Mars fan before this. I feel like up until Uptown Funk, his music kinda boiled down into boring singer-songwriter crap, but even though I'm not crazy about his early work, that motherfucker doesn't miss. Whenever this guy drops, it's always fucking classic at this point. Anderson .Paak has always been a guy I enjoyed as well, and after hearing Leave the Door Open for the first time, I couldn't have been more excited to hear the full record. Okay, where the fuck do I even start? I guess I'll start with the production. Holy fuck, this production is amazing. This is basically as great as it gets. It's lush, it's warm, it's welcoming, and most importantly, it's smooth. Speaking of smooth, the fucking band is insane. This is one of the tightest and smoothest bands I've ever heard. It's ridiculous, I tell ya. And Jesus Christ, the songs. This is pure R&B soul nostalgia, and I love it. Bruno Mars and Anderson fit this sound perfectly and use this style to their absolute advantage. This record is swagger, it is confident, it is braggadocious. Fly As Me is a perfect example of that. The bass line is nasty. The lyrics are playful and confident as hell. The song is just infectious. I can't help myself. After Last Night makes me feel like I just got impregnated. The Thundercat feature is obviously God-worthy, and 777 is a club anthem. Okay, now this is the part where I'm gonna try not to talk for 30 minutes. I need to take a minute to talk about the singles. Leave the Door Open is such a smooth and beautiful love song that was the perfect choice to be the lead single. Skate is also a very fun summer vibe track that has some great drum work by Anderson. But holy shit, Smoking Out the Window absolutely steals the show here. With its incredibly funny and sarcastic lyrics and beautiful instrumental, I will never get over Anderson clapping his shoes to the floor to the beat of the song.
That shit was gripping on me tight, screaming Hercules.
Oh, I love it. I really wish this record was longer, but at the same time, this record is so tight and so well paced that I almost wouldn't change anything about this record. This thing is chocked full of personality and swagger from front to back, and I really hope that we get more from this duo in the future. But even if we don't, I'm glad this is in the world.
This bitch who let the dope boys out. Thank God you let me crash on your couch.
This was my most anticipated album of the year, and as you can see, it didn't disappoint. All of their records have had a huge impact on me, and if it weren't for them, I would not be the same person I am today. Roadrunner, New Light, New Machine is Brockhampton's most consistent album they have released to date. Every track feels so creative and important to the album. The visual presentation is one of my favorite aspects about the record. It's so wild and disturbing, and I think it fits the music perfectly. Buzzcut was the first single from this record, and it is the hardest Brockhampton has gone since Iridescence. Count on Me, I'll Take You On, and Old News are perfect examples of why Brockhampton is reinventing what it means to be a boy band. Chain On and When I Ball are also fun tracks that take influences from classic hip-hop. Windows features all of the members giving some awesome verses as usual. Don't Shoot Up the Party is a G-Funk banger, while at the same time exploring dark themes such as mass shootings as the song title implies. This record finally brought back the bangers, after Ginger's more sad boy tone. But that doesn't mean that this record is an easy listen. Trust me, this is everything but an easy listen. This is the most energetic thing Brockhampton has put out in a long time, but at the same time, it's the most depressing and dour thing they have ever made. The songs I'm obviously mentioning are The Light Part 1 and 2, which are two of the heaviest songs that Brockhampton have ever put to tape. As some of you know who listen to Brockhampton, Joba, one of the main rappers of the group, lost his father to suicide during the making of this record. To say that this heavily affected Joba is an understatement. This is truly Joba's album. He is the focus, he is the spotlight, and he spits some of the most emotionally devastating lyrics I've ever heard on a rap album. His performances on this record have these feelings of grief and sadness that make me want to break down just thinking about it. Joba details his pain and his father's suicide in such graphic and specific detail that it makes my jaw drop till this day. I'm also shocked that he can perform these songs without breaking down and crying. I don't even know what else to say, just give them a listen and hear it for yourselves. Brockhampton is still proving that they are the best boy band since One Direction, and honestly, the best boy band of all time. I feel like not enough people have been talking about this record, so please, if you haven't heard this yet, do yourself a favor and do it. You won't be disappointed. I am extremely excited and sad to hear their final album next year, but no matter what they deliver, they have left such a legacy behind that I know that I will remember them forever.
Don't shoot up the.
Now before we get to number one, let's do some honorable mentions.
Keep moving, keep moving.
This one sucked to cut, but this is still one of my favorite electronic albums I've heard in a long time. Jungle's best work to date. Wish this made it on the list too, the most polarizing thing I've heard all year. It's not for everybody, but I think it's awesome. If you liked their debut album AB, you'll love this. Super fun Weezer record. Another album to add into the good Weezer collection. Billy's most intimate and personal record so far. It's been great watching her grow as an icon, and I can't wait to hear what she does next. It's not quite Flower Boy, it's definitely not Igor, but with this, Tyler proves that he's still got it. This was my favorite metal album of the year. Really glad that Gojira is getting more attention. Another very consistent and enjoyable J. Cole record. In my opinion, it's one of his best. I was late to the party for this one, glad I ended up listening to it regardless. I literally listened to this for the first time a week ago, and I'm still gaining perspective on it. Oh well, maybe I'll regret not featuring it in the top 10 in a few months. Regardless, it's an awesome record and I highly recommend it. Alright, and number one is... I was honestly thinking that Roadrunner would be my favorite album of the year, but Little Simz' new record basically showed up out of nowhere and took me by surprise. And as you can see, I'm glad it did. This project transcends what an album is. It's not just 14 songs and 5 interludes. It's an experience of astronomical proportions. The grandness and scope of this whole project remind me of Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. This was my very first introduction to Little Simz. I didn't really know who she was before this, and I'm so glad I ended up discovering her. This is truly a star-making turn for her. Her flows are also so unique and flow so well from track to track. The track Introvert kicks off this record to a grand and theatrical start. This track is truly an uplifting and epic introduction to what is to come. Then we move on to Woman and Two Worlds Apart, that are really beautiful R&B soul tracks that are wonderful additions to the track list. Then I Love You, I Hate You comes on, and the fucking beat is wild. I swear to God, I'm never gonna get over the bass line in this track. This track and Lil Q Part 2 both deal with rather serious and personal struggles that Simbi has gone through, and I think that they are very powerful tracks. Speed and Standing Ovation are also nice tracks that go pretty hard as well. But I am crazy about the next track, I See You. Protect My Energy is a very fun and upbeat sound switch up that I enjoy a lot as well. Point and Kill is the highlight of the record in my opinion. That track is so unique and has a great feature. The bass line though is also so great. Love the vibe of this track. Fear No Man also follows this different sound as well, with awesome results. And the record ends with How Did You Get Here and Misunderstood. How Did You Get Here is so anthemic that I can't help but sing that hook at the top of my lungs every time it comes on. And Misunderstood is such a creative and enjoyable high point to the record before it comes to a close. I also need to talk about the production. This is another really great example of fabulous production. Like Silk Sonic, it feels so warm and lush. The transition from the interludes are also very well done. These are some of the best interludes I've ever heard. I think that this is such a well-crafted and executed album, and I really encourage all of you, if you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor and put it on. It's records like this that remind me why I love music. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Stick around on the channel. I'm going to be releasing my favorite songs of the year also, so enjoy that. And yeah, just stick around for more content. Thank you guys, and I'll see you around.